So hello everyone. My name is Tim Deep. I'm the Customer Success Manager for DCKAP. We're excited to have you guys all here. So just want to do a quick thank you to our sponsors. We have BigCommerce, we have Nexus, APS Payments, Avalara, Gorgias, Digital, and Content for Commerce. So, and the DCKAP, we're the host for everything. So next I'd like to bring up Billy McClennan. He manages strategic partnerships for Gorgias on the West Coast and Asia Pacific regions. Prior to joining Gorgias, he helped scale Human, an MIT-founded direct-to-consumer brand, scaling the company's revenue by 30% month over month. He loves helping brands that design great e-commerce experiences, scale their digital advertising, set up logistics operations, and build strategic partnerships with international distributors. So, Billy, go ahead and take it away on your on Conversational Commerce Tactics.
So if you can see my screen, you can hear me. Appreciate you having me on. I know this is the last talk, so thank you everybody else who's managed to stay till the end. Just quickly on what we do. So Gorgias is an e-commerce focused help desk. So essentially we manage communication channels for e-commerce brands in one place. And then we have a big component of machine learning and automation to kind of really streamline those things. Don't want to dwell on that too much. Just kind of setting the stage for what we're talking about. So I think I'm going to switch it up a little bit compared to what some of the other talks were. Essentially, we've been seeing, through COVID, we've been seeing a lot of brands that might have primarily focused on retail with a small online component or no at all, or even full online brands. They're basically with COVID, everything's been shut down. So everybody's kind of figuring out like, how can I provide a good experience online as I was in store? And then the people that are completely online, how can I continue to scale that through COVID? So I'm just gonna go over some tactics, what we're calling conversational commerce, based essentially how to increase conversion rates and drive revenue through conversations with your customers. So that if you are new to the e-commerce space or scaling that, hopefully these can be helpful to drive more revenue to your business. So quickly before we begin, just gonna show kind of it's actually good news, but just some of the trends that we've seen with COVID across the brands that we work with internally. So essentially everything started near the end of February. And what we saw throughout March, because of the fear of COVID and things like that, is we did initially see a drop in order volume. This is across about 2,500 brands. So we did see about a 30% drop in order volume near the middle of March. But the good news is that over the past week or so, we've seen a huge spike, and the order volume that we're seeing from the brands we work with is actually about what it was at Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. And it's actually it's actually stable. If you extend this now, it's actually stable. So it's been about a week that's been consistently showing Black Friday levels, which is really, really promising. I think there's a few reasons for that, and I'll get into that in a couple of slides. And then this is just a partner of ours called Recart, just supporting what we've shown. Essentially, they're seeing like huge influx in sales from the merchants that they're working with. And so why is there this kind of influx in e-commerce? So I think there's a few things. I mean, obviously, people that weren't shopping online, that were shopping in store, are kind of adapting, and they're getting used to shopping online. There's been a lot of relief funds from governments, providing people with income to shop. And then also in this situation, so this is basically ad spend and impression costs for advertising on Facebook. And so I think one of the reasons is because of the effect of what happened because of COVID. So essentially what we see here is that the impression cost for Facebook ads drastically decreased because a lot of brands that were worried about COVID, the impact on their business, stopped advertising. So impressions were cut almost in half. So the brands that decided to either ramp up their online or continue spending, and in some cases spending more, they were basically getting the best ad cost that they have ever seen, at least in a long time. And so acquisition costs were really good. They were spending more. And now we see that e-commerce is at least thriving right now. So that's in part one of the reasons, along with a few others that I discussed. And before we jump into the conversational piece, just figured I'd share some examples of how brands are adapting their advertising and brand and tone towards COVID. So I think the underlying theme for this, if you've been watching TV, seeing commercials, online, offline, things like that, is that everyone is essentially addressing that COVID-19 is a real situation that everybody's dealing with. And so being upfront and addressing it, and then depending on your brand, you can kind of tailor your tone and the content that you're using. So like a lot of the content you're seeing is tailored towards at home, of course, because people are spending more time at home. So like Theragun right here, self-care, just because people do have more time to focus on those things. So really pushing like working on yourself while you're at home. And then in terms of branding, there's of course a balance between being empathetic and like joking about a crisis that is affecting a lot of people differently. But Brava Home did a really good job using humor with their brand, basically saying we're all feeling the new home cooking diet right now. Make life easy by cooking with Brava and get back to Netflixing with the hashtag Corona Diet. So essentially addressing COVID-19 in your advertising strategy, and then depending on your brand, being empathetic, pushing the at-home content, using humor, things like that. And so getting into conversational commerce. So essentially it's real-time conversations with your customers across all of the different channels. And of course, each channel has a different type of brand, a different type of tone, a different type of messaging. So like having the data to personalize those experiences. And then also kind of going to review how can we increase conversion rates on these different channels when you're talking to customers. And so why is it important? Mainly because last year alone, 160 million people used some sort of chat-based messaging app to talk to businesses within the US alone. And out of that 160 million people, 61% of them said that they already message businesses regularly. And then about 70% said that being able to message a business makes them feel more confident. So it gives you, direct line of communication with your customers. Not only does it do that, but it gives them a good experience, and it also builds your brand and instills trust in those customers. So just even having those channels is extremely important. And so why are they messaging in? It's essentially similar to why they would be calling in or maybe emailing in, but customers are going to be messaging you for about anything related to your business. So it could be like learning about a product or a service, getting customer support, just like they would over the phone. But I think one of the really important ones is people message in to make a purchase. So they're asking about your product and how they can purchase. And so if you have the ability to manage those conversations, give them the information that they need quickly and automatically, then there's a lot of opportunity to drive revenue from those conversations. And so internally across, again, the 2,600 brands that we work with, we see that the conversion rate for pre-sale chat, so basically a chat with a customer or a prospect, someone who hasn't purchased, on live chat from your website or SMS marketing, if it's responded to within less than 10 minutes, we see across the board a 28% conversion rate. So right away, one simple takeaway is if you're responding to these conversations fast, you're going to see a huge impact on the sales that you're driving to your business. And so this is a revenue dashboard of a customer we work with. So this is a real example. And essentially what this shows is that on December 19th or December 2nd of last year, through live chat, so this is just a live chat, they were able to convert 47% of pre-sale tickets that day, so 230 tickets of the 494, into purchases, which generated about $23,000 in sales on one day through communicating with customers. And this is just really an exceptional example I wanted to highlight because their response time, they have the capabilities to basically respond to these within a couple of minutes. And so just again, really hammering down that your response time has a direct correlation with sales. And I see from Brian here in the chat, just wanted to read that. Handle conversations is huge. I move on. And that's exactly it. I mean, as a consumer, just kind of like add to that, as a consumer today, like we all expect instant communication. Like it's no longer where we expect to be on hold for an hour to talk with a business. And so moving on here, now just focus on a few of these channels that I've talked about and how we can adapt conversational commerce towards all of these different channels that a lot of you are using with your business. And so just to start with email, so not really a chat-based communication platform, but it's still one of the, even internally for us, most communications go through email, not through these chat messages. So it's important to address. Traditionally, email's kind of viewed as a customer support channel. So just people asking customer support related questions. In e-commerce, it could be, where's my order, which is this example. But there's a few things you can do here to give a good experience, but also drive call to actions, even when answering support questions. So this is an example in our platform, somebody reaching out on email saying, where's my order? If you have the right integrations with your e-commerce platform, like Magento, Shopify, BigCommerce, anything like that, you can pull in that data into your templated responses. So your agents can basically map the customer to their order, have a templated response that pulls in the data automatically so they can send it very quickly. But not only can you get them the answer that they want quickly, you can add in these templated responses call to action. So like an example that we see with some brands is if you're doing a loyalty, if you're running a loyalty program and you're using some sort of technology like maybe a Smile, which integrates with Shopify, you can basically add at the end of your template, hey, just so you know, you have 400 points with us, you can redeem them here. So you answer their question, and then you also leave a call to action to take them back to their website to redeem their loyalty points. So that's an example of having like a, answering a support question, but also driving them back to your website to create revenue from that channel. And then kind of taking it one step further with automation. Automation is obviously a big topic these days when it comes to streamlining business. So this is just a rule that corresponds to this question, basically saying, hey, if the intent of this customer is them asking for an order update, exclude other intents that you don't want to include, automatically apply this response. So now you can give them the response to where's my order instantly, so they're happy about that. And then you can add a call to action to take them back to your website and purchase. And then Facebook Messenger. So definitely I'd be curious if people want to jump in on the chat and kind of add their experiences with Facebook Messenger or ask questions afterwards, because I always get mixed things. Like some people love it, some people don't really love it. But I thought this is a really cool way that one brand is using it. So essentially what they're doing is they're running paid ads on Facebook, driving traffic to their Facebook Messenger, their Facebook business page, with the incentive of a discount code. So one, they're basically telling their customer to go to Facebook Messenger to chat in with them. Once they do, it takes them to their website. And then on their website, you might have noticed in the bottom corner, they have another chat campaign that proactively pops up to talk to their customers. So essentially, this brand knows that talking with their customers basically is crucial in terms of like converting their customers. They know it has a huge increase in conversion rates. So they're basically telling their customer through every step, hey, like chat in, we'll help you buy, make your purchase decisions. And so social, we all know comments are important when you're running organic and paid advertising. But I still always see like hundreds of comments on Facebook ads on my own feed that aren't answered. And what we're seeing essentially is if you're getting to positive comments, so basically people indicating they want to purchase, tagging their friends, saying they want to buy, we see about a 5% increase in sales equivalent to your ad spend. So if you get to these positive comments, you're going to automatically increase the ROAS of your ads. And then not only that, essentially like there's people that are seeing your ads that aren't engaging, they're not commenting. It gives you the opportunity to have conversations with even more people that might not want to comment on your ads. So you have the opportunity to give discount codes, give product information. And if one person commented asking, I'm sure there's 100 others that are thinking the same thing and wanting to ask the same question. But of course, with social advertising, it is a challenge if you're spending thousands of dollars a day and you have hundreds of comments through like 40, 50 different creatives. It's hard to manage. So this is just one example of how we do it within our platform. And so essentially we're using machine learning to basically filter out comments, what we think are the relevant comments to answer first, kind of prioritizing. So like social leads, people wanting to buy, negative comments, being able to either address them or hide them before they impact the ROAS of your ads. And then also social questions. So maybe a customer support related question as well. And so just being able to effectively manage these and prioritize them to get to them quickly. And so SMS, kind of another channel, a conversational channel that's been really popular over the past, in 2019 and even now. There's quite a few different platforms that have gotten a lot of hype. So like Attentive just raised another like $50 million. They raised $70 million earlier this year. SMS Bump got acquired by Yotpo. There's Postscript. So there's really a ton of different SMS platforms that are gaining a lot of traction. And the reason for this is because the open rates are extremely high. So much higher than email, 90% plus. They have very high click-through rates, especially now where people are spending all their time at home and on their phones, and fast replies. So when you send out a campaign, people are replying to you pretty instantly because they see it right away. And so you might have heard that SMS is more expensive as a channel, which is true, but I've basically heard numbers in terms of the ROI on SMS is like anywhere from like 15 to 22 X. So you are paying more because you're paying per text, but they're converting very well. And then people are very personal on SMS. So like if you send out a campaign on a Tuesday, someone will get back to you and say, hey, you know what, like I don't get paid till Friday. Can you extend this offer until Friday? So it's a really good opportunity to kind of like be very personal with your customers. And so finally, the live chat, one that's been around for probably the longest. The way that I like to explain this, at least one way to use live chat is kind of mimicking the retail experience. So you can have what's called a chat campaign. So basically proactively popping up chats to your customers to at least initiate the first response. Essentially like if you were to walk into a store, there's a sales associate saying like, hey, how may I help you? So an example online would be on your main homepage, people just entering your website, saying, hey, we're here to help you. Let us know if you need anything, gifts, maybe site-wide sales, things like that a sales associate would say in store, just letting them know that you're there to talk with them if they need you to. And then if you kind of move down the funnel, online or offline, if people are trying your products on or at specific product pages on your website, this is the opportunity where a sales associate would help them with any product related questions, objection busting statements, things like that. So what you can do is you can have specific chat campaigns on specific product pages to address the common hesitations that people might have or discounts or things like that. So like an example that I've seen that was really, really cool and worked well was a shoe company that they had, their sizing was a bit unique. So they were getting a lot of returns and exchanges. So on that product page, they would say, hey, just so you know, you should shop half a size up. And what it did was it just reduced the amount of returns and exchanges because people were now able to buy the right product. So things like that. And then also on the cart or at the checkout in store. So this is usually in store where you're trying to capture email, sign them up for your loyalty, maybe sign up for a credit card. So you can do similar things online by incentive. You could add things like free shipping when they're at the cart, if they've been on the cart page for a while. You could do cross sells and upsells, common products that match with other products, similar to what you would do in store, but online. And so finally, kind of just summarizing, at least on the tracking side, essentially, how can you track the ROI on these conversations? Well, of course, conversion rate on chat, as we discussed, being able to see how many of these tickets that are coming through your help desk are actually converting into sales. You can also check conversion rates by agent. So we actually break it down by agent, and then you have the ability to go into those tickets to see which agents are performing better. And similar to what you would do in store with your sales associates. And then if there are agents that aren't converting as well, you can basically build SOPs and protocols off of the top performers to basically teach them how to be on brand and what kind of responses to say to drive those sales. Social, obviously there's a lot of tracking, different ways to track on social, but just using discount codes in your comments works really well. And then of course, first response time, really play with like, if your response time right now is a half hour, assess the impact if you can get that down to 25 minutes and then 20 minutes and then maybe 10 minutes and see how that correlates to the conversion rate through those chat-based conversations. And so not going to really focus on this. I already told you what we do. And just, I guess on this slide, to kind of focus on the kind of brands that we work with. So essentially, we work with any brand, any e-commerce brand that's on Shopify or Magento, all the way from just getting online, so very small, maybe doing a few communications, all the way to giant stores like Steve Madden. And then just quickly as well, so I covered COVID a little bit at the beginning of it. One thing that we've launched help brands that have been impacted both offline and online or both, is we're giving anywhere from 3 to 6 months of Gorgias completely free, no commitment, if you've seen an impact on your sales because of COVID between March and April. So what I'll do is I can I'll pop this in the chat really quickly if anybody wants to go through the application process. And then I will also be in our chat room, which I will pop in as well. So if anyone wants to talk to me in our chat about this, about the presentation or what we're doing with brands for COVID, things like that, you can also join us here. I think we'll be there for about a half hour, 40 minutes. And then, yeah, I guess I'm happy to take questions. I think there was a few in the polls. Tim, did you want me to just go ahead and read through these questions?
Yeah, we have some time. You could go ahead and, yeah, there's 3 questions.
Cool, yeah, I'll run through them. So how do the conversion rates for these traffic spikes compare to pre-COVID traffic? That's a great question. I'm just gonna jump on the slide so we can kind of look at it. So conversion rates, so I think you've probably heard this, but it depends a little bit on, initially anyways, when there was this drop, like overall drop, it really depended on the vertical. So you've probably seen data that like at home, essential, fitness and stuff like that seen really big booms. So those customers were seeing huge increases in their conversion rates, like through, like not even just through like your communications, just in general, but like we were seeing people with like 10, 15x their conversion rate like pre-COVID, the ones that were in kind of those essential or at home items. But now what we're seeing, which is really nice, is even if you weren't an essential item, we're still seeing kind of a huge boost over with the past week in and I think again, it's because people are adapting to purchasing online, the people that wouldn't, and then also brands are adapting. You know, they're addressing COVID, they're changing their contents, they're finding creative ways to make their items feel like they're at home or essential items, and then also initially the CPMs were lower, they've kind of caught back up. So, but because conversion rates are so good, it doesn't really matter right now. And then traffic spikes we're seeing, is this across the board or only certain segments as market? So that kind of touched on what I had said right here. So initially, yes, it was the at-home essential item verticals that we were seeing traffic spikes. But just to give you an idea, like we work with, I don't know the exact percentage, but we work with a significant percentage of the brands that we work with are in things that are non-essential, like fashion and apparel and things like that. So this number includes those brands. So now, like as of like the past week, where it's not just the kind of like at-home essential item verticals, it's essentially every vertical, which is really, really cool to see. And I think like if you've looked at like Shopify stock and how they've done over the past like 2 weeks, it's kind of like jumped way, way up. Same with Amazon as well. So this one is by Govind. Can the chat messenger tools be automated or do they require human monitoring? So this is a super common question and a really great one. So the answer is both. Like I can talk on how we work and then kind of what's out there for automation. So there's a lot of ways to automate different communication channels. So if you were doing like Facebook Messenger, there's like Octane AIs, and I think Recard, actually the example that I showed up here, they're a Facebook Messenger automation bot. So you can automate a lot of these things. If you're looking at live chat, there's also chat bots. So right now with our chat campaigns, right here, we can basically automate that first pop-up to say like, hey, you know, here's a discount code, or like welcome to our website. If they chat in, there's human monitoring, but we can also create machine learning and automations on the back end to actually respond to those customers. So that's, in our case, that's not a full-on chatbot. It can essentially automate the first reply, and then it would be human monitoring. But there are chatbots out there, and actually for this quarter, we've actually built a chatbot internally for a couple of customers that we're working on launching for everybody. So yeah, the answer is like you can automate for sure. The one thing with automation is you just want to make sure that you can keep it personal, because no one likes to really like feel like they're talking to a bot. And then in terms of the brands we work with, we have brands doing both. So we have brands that are fully automating conversations through like Facebook Messenger live chat, and then we have brands that have like 24/7 dedicated support agents that are responding to people when they come in. So it's just really trying to find a balance between like the like obviously you need a dedicated support agent on all time to be able to manually answer questions. So just finding a balance of like when you can do that. Like maybe, one really good thing you can do if like maybe you're small or you don't have a dedicated person to watch a live chat on your website 24/7 is you can just set expectations, and this helps really well. So one, you can capture their email in the live chat. So make it mandatory to capture an email so that when they leave, you can respond back to them. And two, set up an automated, what we call a first response. So just like giving them expectations. So the first response could be, oh, hey, just so you know, we usually reply within 2 hours. Or, hey, just so you know, like we're not in business hours right now, so we'll get back to you on Monday. Just like setting that expectation so then a customer knows when to expect a response also helps with conversion rates if you're not, able to respond to them within like 30 seconds.
Well, awesome, Billy. That was a great presentation.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for having me as always.